Well, welcome to Wood Chip Woodworking. Today, we're going to do something kind of interesting. My grandson came up with this idea from watching a movie about making this, like, I call it a wand, but I'm not sure if that's what it is. But nevertheless, we're going to try to attempt to do this for him. What amazed me with it was we sat down and he did a lot of the math and figured out the dimensions of the beads, space between them, and everything. And he actually did the math, and I just laid it out for him and said, well, if this is this and that's that, and how much is that one going to be? And he figured it all out, which kind of really amazed me. So I'm proud of that little guy. But anyway, let's get started on today's project. And we're going to build this out of a piece of walnut. So let's get set up. Basically, what we're going to do is, this is a piece of walnut we're going to work with. I'm going to find the center, and then we'll put it on a lathe. So hang tight. All right, so here we are. Got my piece on the lathe. It's a piece of walnut. And we're going to trim this out, make it round, and then go from there. So first thing we need to do is make sure a piece centered. I got my roughing gouge here. I got my gloves on, face shield, and let's get started. So we're going to make it round. All right, next thing we got to do is put a spigot on the end of it to put it in our chuck. All right, let's get her in the chuck, and then we'll get her started. Hang tight. All right, so we got her back in our chuck, and now what we're going to do is we're going to start down here, and we're going to work that way with it. So I got to finish making it round, and let's go for it. Alrighty, pretty round. Alrighty, so let's lay out some measurements here and see what we got. Go from there. Alright, so I got my tape measure somewhere. There it is. Okay, so my drawing, or I should say Dante's drawing. First piece is this piece here. 4 inches long, and it is 1/4 inch thick. So we're going to set our calipers up. There. And we're going to measure over 4 inches, because the whole length of this is supposed to be 12 inches, and I've got almost 12.5, so I got a little bit of room to work with. So 4 inches goes right there. Okay, so I'm going to put a mark here. Okay, and I'll turn this down to a 1/4 inch. Yep. All right, so to get that, got a lot to do here. So we're going to go with that face shield down. Here we go. Now we've got our calipers here. I'm just going to put some marks in here about where I need to go. Check my calipers, make sure nothing's funky here. It moved on me a little bit. All right. Okay, take this down. Okay, let me grab my skew, and we'll use the skew to smooth it all out. I'm gonna grab both of them. I got my 1 inch and that. So we want to clean all that up. Let's get the tool rest just a hair closer. There we are. And I want to raise it up a little bit. All right. Yeah. I like doing these in the skew. Got that done. And we'll take and clean that end up here in a minute. I just don't want to mess with it yet. Okay, so that's that one. So our next one is a 1/2 inch. Let's make sure we got 4 inches there. Oh, we got to come back here. Take that part down. All right. So let's all right. That's good. All right, so now I'm going to take this down to 1/2 inch. Get my calipers out again. And let's see. 1/2 inch. Calipers back to a 1/2 inch. All right. So I got to take this down to a 1/2 inch, and this is going to be a bead there. So I'm going to come back here. So I'm going to take this down right here to roughly a 1/2 inch. All right. My tools are rolling around a little bit. Okay, here we go. this down to a 1/2 inch. There's that. Get rid of this. Okay, now we need to mark our bead here. So it's going to be, this is going to be a 1/2 inch bead right there. Okay, and then this here, I'm going to take this back here. Paperwork says 1 inch there. So they're going to be a little bit thin there. What's going to do with that? Okay. And I am going to switch to my shorter tool rest. Get rid of this big one. Hang tight. Let's get the big one out. Or little one out. All right, now we can get in there a little bit easier. Okay, so that's a 1/2 inch or bead here, so we're going to do that. Okay, there we are. Our first bead is done. So now I need to come over here, from there to there, 1 inch. So the next one is, so somewhere right in here. Take that down. And we need to go down to 1/2 inch here. Okay. And that's what that is. Okay, so I need to take some of that off. Get our tool rest back up here. Let's make our mark all the way around so we know where we're at. Oops. Hang tight. Camera just. All right, here we go again. Mark that so we know where we're going. Okay. There we are. Okay, so that takes care of that part. Now, the next one is 1 inch. So we got to go another inch. So this was measured on our thing here. All right. And that would be 1 inch there. Yep. Okay. So this will be 1 inch. There, right there. And then this one will be a 1/2 inch there on as well. So here we go. Calipers. All right, here we go. Stick this up there. Make sure it were there. Yep. Okay. And that should be 1 inch. Good. All right. So now we'll do this part. Okay. We're going to make a bead here. All right. Here we go. When doing beads, you always start from the outer edge and go in. Okay, next bead is done. That's the 1 inch one. So I go over 1 inch. Okay, so this here is going to go down to 1.5 inches. So let's take this, since this is 1 inch, we want to go over 1 inch. So we're going to mark this. So we got to come over to here. All right. And 1.5 inches. All right. So we're going to take this down to 1.5 inches out here. Get her. Now let's first of all get this down to that. So we know where we're at. I move my tool rest over to there. Let's take this down to 1.5 inches. Pretty close to there. Okay. We know how much we're going to do. Okay, there's that. Now we're going to take this down to there. So we'll measure that. Should be a 1/2 inch. Take that down to there. Okay. Take our skew. Okay. Getting that little bead out right there. There we are. Okay. So now we're down to there. So our next one here is going to be 1.5 inches, which I believe that's what that is. Measure it. Okay. 1.5 inches. Perfect. Okay, so there's that, and I got 1.5 inches bead, which is about what that is. So let's get rid of some of this here. Okay. Now we're going to make a bead out of this right here. Put the two of us a little closer. Okay, here we go. Okay. Like that. Now we'll clean this up just a hair. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. So then this has to be turned down to that, but let's get this one out here first. This has got to be our 2-inch one. So let's get our second caliper set for 2 inches. Okay. And okay. 2 inches. And here we go. And let's take a whole lot off of this one. Very good. Okay, so we're going to take this down to that. All right, so now got to make this piece that thickness. So let's measure that one. Should be the 1/2 inch. And it is a little over. Okay. So we're going to take that down to there. Okay. And we want to make sure this is from there to there an inch. Which it's just over, but that's all right. Okay, so we got to take this down. Clean up our bead here. Okay. Now this has to be 2 inches. So measure that. That should be 2 inches, and then okay. And that'll take me right back to that edge, which is good. All right, here we go. I'm going to take a little bit off of here. Here. Okay. Now we just clean up everything. Just clean it all up. Okay. Yeah, I think that's got it. Okay, so now I'm going to finish sanding this all up, clean this up, and then I'll shape the end of it. And then we'll be right back. So I'm going to do a little sanding. I know you guys are really interested in seeing me sand, so I'll do the first one, and then I'll pause the video, and we'll do the second. I'll finish sanding, and then we'll come back, and I'll show you how I finish it off. So I'm going to start out with 120. Put her in reverse. I'm using a skew. It helps. I don't have as much sanding to do then. Okay, that's basically what I'm going to be doing for the next few minutes. Okay, I'll do sanding all the way up through 220 and we'll go from there. Hang tight. All right, so here we are. We got that. Now I'm going to take the end and finish the end here real quick. So this is going to be a tough one because I got to round that edge off without breaking it off. So let's see what we can do. Get her little skew out. And as you can see, it's moving a little bit. Steady it. There we are. Now I just got to sand that round. Sand that and we'll get around here. All right. 120, 150. $180. Okay, and 220. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So now I got to turn it around and put this end in the chuck so I can turn that off, which is going to be the challenge. So hang tight and I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right, so we don't mar it. I got me some masking tape here. I'm going to wrap it in masking tape just to protect it. Give it a couple good wraps. That should be good. All right, so I got that protected in there, and that's going to go in my chuck right there. And I'll bring my tailstock up. and that's how we're going to hold it. So here we go. Center this with that. Okay. And this is my small jaws, so this will go down to that. And all I want to do, I don't want to put any marks in it. All I want to do is hold it. Just like that. Not much there. And that should turn without any issues. And she's turning good. Now, we'll get rid of this. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit of tension on that. And we're going to get rid of all this here. So here we go. I got to put my face shield back on. I'm just going to slowly take this away. I don't want to apply too much pressure. Just nice and slow, small cuts. Now we'll take this, and we're just going to complete our bead. It's slipping a little bit on my headstock, so it's slipping down in, so I need to pull this back just a hair, because it's slipping down inside. So I'm going to pull this back to there. Like that. All right, let's try this again. Here we go. I don't want to cut it off just yet. Okay. As you can see, now I just need to finish sanding this one because I did not sand that earlier. So once again, 120, and we'll go from there. So let me do the sanding on that, and I'll be right back. All right, so lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to cut that off. And I'm not going to turn it. I'm going to use my Japanese saw here, and I'm just going to cut that off like this. Very little there to cut off. And that's it. Okay. So let's take her out and I'll show you what our final project will be. Let me take that over to the belt sander and clean that edge up right there. All right, so here we are. Hopefully my grandson likes it. It's what he wants. But we're going to find out. Get our tape off of here. And guess I put enough tape on it. All right, here we go. Well, last little piece here. All right, and there is our wand. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup there on my tape. It's pretty good though. I think it looks pretty good. Hopefully he likes it, and let's go from there and see what each says. So there again, thank you for stopping by Wood Chip Woodworking. Please feel free to share, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video. And if anybody knows exactly what this is and what movie it came from, please leave a comment below in the comment section and let me know, because I have no earthly clue. Thank you, and have a good night. Bye.